Chosen ones, God gave you the hardest test of all, and you passed the right way. Feel that spark igniting in your chest right now? That's not just emotion, it's the Holy Spirit whispering that this moment, this sacred second, is yours. You didn't stumble upon this message by chance. Heaven hunted you down, piercing through the noise of a distracted world to deliver this divine truth. Every storm you've weathered, every tear you've shed, every moment you thought you'd break was not punishment. It was preparation. You've been forged in the fire of the hardest tests, not to be consumed, but to emerge as a vessel of unshakable purpose. Picture a radiant scroll unfurling in the courts of heaven, your name written in golden ink, sealed with the promise of breakthrough. This is your divine moment, chosen one, to step boldly into the destiny God crafted for you before the stars were hung in the sky. You know the weight of the battles you've faced. The nights when doubt clawed at your spirit, whispering that you're not enough. The days when doors slammed shut, opportunities slipped away, and the world seemed to move forward while you stood still. Maybe you felt invisible, overlooked, or misunderstood, carrying burdens others couldn't see. But hear this truth. Those struggles weren't random. They were God's chisel, carving you into a masterpiece of resilience and faith. Every rejection was a redirection. Every delay was divine timing, aligning you with a purpose so magnificent it required the hardest tests to prepare you. The Bible declares in James 1:2-3, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance." You've persevered, chosen one. You've passed the test, not by avoiding pain, but by walking through it with a heart that refused to surrender. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast ocean, waves crashing with the weight of every challenge you've faced. Each wave, financial strain, heartbreak, loneliness, was a test designed to teach you to stand firm. Now, picture those waves parting, revealing a golden path stretching toward a horizon ablaze with promise. That's where you are right now. The tests weren't meant to drown you. Think of David, a shepherd boy facing Goliath with nothing but a slingshot and a heart full of faith. The giant wasn't just a foe. It was a test of courage, proving David was ready for the throne. Or consider Esther, an orphan girl who faced the test of risking her life to save her people. Her fear didn't disqualify her. It qualified her to step into her divine purpose. You too have faced giants and impossible odds, and you're still here. That's not luck. That's God's plan unfolding, confirming that you're chosen for a breakthrough that will echo through generations. But why did your tests feel so heavy? Why did the road seem steeper for you than for others? Because, chosen one, God doesn't give ordinary assignments to extraordinary warriors. Your trials were not a sign of abandonment, but a mark of divine selection. The enemy saw your potential before you did, throwing every obstacle to stop you from discovering your power. Yet, every time you chose faith over fear, every time you prayed through the pain, every time you got back up after falling, you passed the test the right way. You didn't curse God in your suffering. You didn't let bitterness take root. You held fast to hope, and now heaven is celebrating because your faith has become a testimony. Psalm 66:10-12 proclaims, "For you, God, tested us. You refined us like silver, but you brought us to a place of abundance." Your place of abundance is here, chosen one, waiting for you to claim it. Let's talk about someone like Maria, a single mother from a small town in Ohio. For years, she faced relentless tests, losing her job, battling illness, and raising 2 children alone. She'd pray each night, wondering why life felt like an unending storm. But Maria didn't give up. She volunteered at her church, mentored young women, and kept a journal of her dreams, even when they seemed impossible. One day, a local non-profit noticed her resilience and offered her a position to lead a community outreach program. That job wasn't just a paycheck. It was a platform to touch hundreds of lives, fulfilling a purpose she'd felt stirring in her heart for years. Maria's tests, her loneliness, her struggles, were shaping her into a leader who could empathize with the broken. Her story isn't verified, but it's real to someone out there, and it mirrors yours. Your hardest tests have been building a testimony that will inspire others to keep going. Now, let's address the lie that's kept you stuck, the fear that you're not ready for what's next. You've passed the hardest tests, but doubt whispers that you're still not enough, not spiritual enough, not strong enough, not qualified. That's the enemy's last, desperate attempt to keep you from your spiritual awakening. The truth is, God doesn't call the perfect, He perfects the called. Moses stuttered, yet he led a nation. Rahab was a prostitute, yet she became a hero of faith. Your flaws don't disqualify you, they make your story relatable, showing others that God's power shines through human weakness. The Bible reminds us in Corinthians 12:9, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." Your weaknesses are where God's strength will shine brightest, chosen one. You're ready not because you feel it, but because God says it. This video unveils a unique truth. Your deepest fears are the keys to your greatest breakthroughs. Every test you've passed was a confrontation with fear, fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of the unknown. Each time you chose to trust God, you turned fear into a stepping stone toward your destiny. Now it's time to harness that courage and take action. Here are 3 specific steps to step boldly into your divine purpose. First, write down one goal you've been delaying, a dream God placed in your heart. Maybe it's starting a business, pursuing a ministry, or rebuilding a relationship. Put it on paper tonight and place it where you'll see it daily. Second, reach out to someone you've been hesitant to connect with, maybe a friend you need to forgive or a mentor who can guide you. Send that text or make that call within the next 24 hours. Third, take one small step toward your dream today. If it's a book, write the first sentence. If it's a ministry, research how to register it. These steps are simple but powerful, grounding your faith in action. Picture yourself standing before a majestic door, its surface shimmering with the light of heaven, your name carved in letters that pulse with divine energy. This door isn't locked, but it requires you to turn the handle with faith. On the other side lies not just a blessing, but a legacy, a life where your pain becomes purpose, your tests become testimonies, and your faith moves mountains. You've been prepared for this moment, chosen one. The tests you've passed have built a resilience that can withstand any storm. But the enemy wants you to hesitate, to think you need more time, more signs, more strength. Don't fall for it. Hebrews 11:1 declares, "Now faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see." Your faith is the key, and now is the time to use it. Some of you are feeling a stirring, a quickening in your spirit that says, "This is for me." If that's you, type "I am claiming my breakthrough" in the comments below. Your declaration isn't just words, it's a signal to heaven that you're ready to step into your destiny. By commenting, you're joining thousands of chosen souls who are awakening to their divine purpose. Together, we're building a community of faith, where each step you take inspires someone else to keep going. If this message is igniting your spirit, consider liking this video to spread this hope further. Join thousands of chosen souls by subscribing to stay connected to your divine purpose, ensuring you never miss a message meant for your faith journey. Let's talk about what's on the other side of this door. It's not just financial breakthrough, though provision may come. It's not just healed relationships, though restoration is possible. It's the version of you God always saw. The one who walks in authority, who speaks with wisdom, who carries peace that surpasses understanding. Imagine waking up each day knowing your life is aligned with God's plan, where every decision feels guided by His hand. That's what your tests have prepared you for, a life of impact, where your story becomes a beacon for others. Think of Nelson Mandela, imprisoned for 27 years, facing tests that would crush most. Yet, those years didn't break him. They shaped him into a leader who united a nation. Your tests, too, are shaping you for a purpose bigger than you can imagine. But here's where the enemy tries to trip you up: comparison. You see others seemingly prospering without the tests you've faced, and you wonder if God's forgotten you. Don't believe that lie. Their path isn't yours, and their blessings aren't your promise. God's plan for you is tailor-made, crafted with precision to fit your unique calling. Galatians 6:4-5 reminds us, each one should test their own actions. Then they can take pride in themselves alone, without comparing themselves to someone else, for each one should carry their own load. Your load, your tests, have built a strength that's uniquely yours. Stop looking at others' highlight reels and start celebrating the masterpiece God is creating in you. Now let's get practical again, because faith without action is dead. Those 3 steps, writing your goal, reaching out to someone, and taking one small step, are your bridge from promise to reality. Don't overcomplicate it. If your goal is to start a ministry, your small step might be searching online for how to start a non-profit. If it's reconciling with a loved one, your outreach might be a simple message saying, "I've been thinking of you." These actions aren't just tasks. They are acts of obedience that unlock God's promises. Picture each step as a stone laid on that golden path across the ocean, leading you closer to your breakthrough. You don't need to see the whole path. You just need to take the next step. Some of you are wondering, what if I step out and fail? Let's reframe that fear. Failure isn't the opposite of success, it's part of the journey to it. Thomas Edison faced thousands of failed experiments before inventing the light bulb, but each failure taught him what didn't work, bringing him closer to what did. Your tests have already taught you resilience, so any failure is just a lesson refining your path. Proverbs 24:16 says, "For though the righteous fall 7 times, they rise again." You've risen before, chosen one, and you'll rise again. The only true failure is refusing to try. Your breakthrough is waiting, not for perfection, but for your willingness to move forward. Imagine a moment in heaven where angels gather around a great book, its pages glowing with the stories of the chosen. Your name is there, and beside it a record of every test you've passed, the loneliness that taught you empathy, the betrayal that built your forgiveness, the scarcity that deepened your trust in God's provision. Each test is a chapter, and this moment is the turning point where your story shifts from preparation to purpose. You're not just surviving anymore. You're stepping into a season of personal transformation where your life becomes a living testimony of God's faithfulness. The enemy trembles because he knows that when you embrace your divine purpose, you'll light a fire that no darkness can extinguish. Let's pause for a moment to connect. If this message is stirring your heart, if you feel the weight of your tests lifting and the promise of breakthrough rising, type "I am stepping into my purpose" in the comments below. Your words are a declaration, a stake in the ground that says you're ready to claim what God has for you. By sharing, you're encouraging others in this community of faith, reminding them they're not alone in their faith journey. If this video is speaking to your spirit, consider liking it to help spread this message of hope. Join thousands of chosen souls by subscribing to Stay Connected to Your Divine Purpose, ensuring you're part of this movement of spiritual awakening. Now, let's address the urgency of this moment. The tests you've passed have brought you to a divine threshold, but thresholds are meant to be crossed, not camped on. The enemy wants you to linger, to think you have forever to act, but God works in seasons, and this season is yours. Ecclesiastes 3:1 tells us, "There is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. Your season of waiting is ending, and your season of walking in purpose is beginning." Picture a clock in heaven, its hands moving steadily toward a moment when this door of opportunity will close. Not because God is cruel, but because divine timing is precise. Noah had a moment to build the ark. Esther had a moment to approach the king. You have this moment to step into your destiny. Don't let it pass. Let's talk about someone like James, a man from Atlanta who faced tests that seemed unending. He lost his business during a recession, battled depression, and felt his dreams slipping away. But James kept praying, kept serving in his community, kept believing God had a plan. One day, a friend invited him to a local entrepreneurs meetup. Hesitant but hopeful, James went and shared his vision for a mentorship program for at-risk youth. A stranger in the room, moved by his passion, offered to fund the program's launch. Today, James's organization helps hundreds of teens, turning his tests into a testimony of redemption. His story, though unverified, resonates because it reflects the truth that your tests are not the end. They're the beginning of something greater. Some of you are carrying burdens for others, praying for a child who's lost their way, a spouse who's drifted, a community that's hurting. Those burdens aren't just pain, they're part of your calling. Your tests have given you empathy, wisdom, and authority to stand in the gap. Isaiah 61:1 declares, "The Spirit of the Sovereign Lord is on me, because the Lord has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor, to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim freedom for the captives." Your tests have anointed you to bring healing, to be the answer to someone's prayer. But you can't do that if you stay stuck, if you let fear or doubt keep you from acting. Those 3 steps, writing your goal, reaching out, taking one small step, are your way of saying yes to that anointing. Imagine a battlefield where the enemy's lies, doubt, fear, comparison, lie defeated at your feet. You stand not as a victim, but as a victor, holding a sword forged in the fires of your tests. That sword is your testimony, and every swing cuts through the darkness, bringing light to those still fighting. Your breakthrough isn't just for you, it's for every person your life will touch. The teacher who sees your courage and finds her own, the neighbor who hears your story and starts believing again, the child who inherits your faith instead of your fears. Your tests have prepared you to be a chain breaker, a hope bringer, a light in a world that desperately needs it. Now, let's ground this in positive psychology, because your faith journey isn't just spiritual, it's practical. Research shows that taking small, intentional actions toward a goal builds momentum and rewires your brain for success. That's why those 3 steps are so powerful. Writing your goal clarifies your vision, activating the brain's reticular activating system to spot opportunities. Reaching out to someone builds social connection, releasing oxytocin that boosts your emotional resilience. Taking one small step creates a win that fuels motivation, as psychologist B.J. Fogg's research on tiny habits confirms. These aren't just tasks, they're science-backed ways to align your actions with God's promises, making your breakthrough not just possible, but inevitable. Some of you are feeling the weight of this moment, the urgency of God's call. If that's you, type, "I am walking in my anointing" in the comments below. Your declaration is a beacon, connecting you with a community of chosen ones who are stepping into their purpose alongside you. By sharing, you're strengthening the faith of someone who needs to know they're not alone. If this message is fueling your spiritual awakening, consider liking this video to help it reach others. Join thousands of chosen souls by subscribing to stay connected to your divine purpose, ensuring you're part of this movement of hope and transformation. Let's talk about the cost of hesitation. Every time you've delayed acting on God's call, you've felt the ache of missed opportunity. Maybe it was a dream you shelved, a relationship you didn't mend, a step you didn't take. That ache isn't shame. It's a reminder that your calling matters. The Bible warns in Proverbs 13:12, "Hope deferred makes the heart sick, but a longing fulfilled is a tree of life." Your longing for purpose, for breakthrough, is ready to be fulfilled, but it requires action. Those 3 steps aren't just suggestions. They're your way of saying, "I'm done deferring hope." They're your commitment to walk through the door God has opened, to claim the tree of life He's prepared for you. Picture yourself a year from now, looking back on this moment. Will you see it as the day you hesitated, letting fear win? Or will you see it as the day you chose faith, taking those small steps that led to a life of purpose? Imagine the stories you'll tell. Of the business you started, the relationship you restored, the ministry you launched. Those stories begin today with the courage to act. Your tests have proven you're stronger than you know. Your faith has shown you're chosen for a reason. Now it's time to live like it. The door is open, the path is clear, and your destiny is waiting. What will you do with this moment, chosen one? The choice is yours, but the time is now. Let's dive deeper into the heart of this divine moment, chosen one. Because the truth pulsing through this message is about to shake the very foundations of how you see yourself and your purpose. You've passed the hardest tests, not because you were stronger than others, but because God saw something in you. A spark of faith, a flicker of resilience that He knew could become a wildfire of impact. Picture a vast desert, cracked and barren from years of drought, suddenly blooming with vibrant flowers after a single rain. That's your life right now. The tests were the drought, stripping away everything that wasn't essential, but this moment is the rain, bringing life to dreams you thought were long dead. You're not just standing at a door, you're standing at the edge of a new season, where every step you take will ripple through eternity. Consider the story of Ruth, a woman who faced tests that could have broken her spirit. She lost her husband, her home, and her security, left with nothing but a choice: cling to the familiar or step into the unknown. Ruth chose to follow Naomi, declaring in Ruth 1:16, "Where you go, I will go, and where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God my God." That wasn't just loyalty, it was faith in action, trusting God's plan over her. Her tests, grief, displacement, uncertainty, prepared her for a destiny she couldn't see, becoming the great-grandmother of King David, part of the lineage of Jesus. Your tests, too, have positioned you for a legacy you can't yet fully grasp. The loneliness taught you to cherish connection. The failures taught you to value perseverance. The losses taught you to trust God's provision. You're not defined by what you've lost, chosen one. You're defined by what you've gained through faith. Now, let's confront a subtle trap that's kept many chosen ones stuck: the myth of arrival. You might think that passing these tests means you've made it, that your breakthrough will be a moment of ease where all struggles cease. But God's plan isn't about delivering you to a finish line. It's about inviting you into a lifelong journey of purpose. Imagine a mighty river, its currents swift and powerful, carrying you toward new horizons. You don't step into a river to stand still, you move with its flow, navigating rapids and bends with trust. Your breakthrough isn't a destination, it's the moment you surrender to the flow of God's purpose, letting Him guide you through every twist and turn. Philippians 3:13-14 urges us, "Forgetting what is behind and straining toward what is ahead, I press on toward the goal, to win the prize for which God has called me heavenward in Christ Jesus." Your tests have prepared you to press on, not to rest on past victories. Let's talk about someone like Daniel, not the biblical prophet, but a modern-day warrior from Seattle. Daniel grew up in a rough neighborhood, facing tests of poverty, violence, and addiction in his family. He could have let those tests define him, but instead, he clung to a vision God gave him as a teenager, to create a safe space for kids like him. Through years of setbacks, failed grant applications, skeptical community leaders, personal doubts, Daniel kept showing up. He tutored kids after work, shared his story at local schools, and prayed relentlessly. Last year, a church donated a small building, and Daniel opened a youth center that now serves dozens of teens, offering mentorship and hope. His tests didn't end with the center's opening. They continue as he navigates funding and growth. But each test refines his purpose, proving that passing the hardest tests equips you for a life of ongoing impact. Daniel's story, though unverified, echoes the truth that your tests are not the end of your story, they're the beginning of your mission. Some of you are feeling a tug in your spirit, a sense that God is calling you to something bigger than yourself. Maybe it's a ministry to the hurting, a business that creates jobs, or a conversation that heals a broken relationship. That tug isn't random. It's the Holy Spirit aligning your heart with your divine purpose. But here's where the enemy tries to derail you, with the lie that your purpose is too big, too risky, too far out of reach. Don't buy it. Your purpose isn't measured by its size, but by its obedience. The 3 steps you've already taken, writing your goal, reaching out to someone, taking one small action, are proof that you're capable of obeying God's call. Those steps aren't just tasks, they're declarations that you're ready to move with the river of His plan, trusting Him to guide you through every rapid. Picture a tapestry woven with threads of gold, silver, and crimson, each strand representing a test you've passed. From a distance, the tapestry tells a story of triumph, but up close you see the knots, the tangles, the moments where the threads nearly broke. That's your life, chosen one. A masterpiece in progress, where every test adds depth and beauty to the final design. The world may see only the knots, but God sees the masterpiece. And He's inviting you to trust the weaver. Psalm 139:16 declares, "Your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book, before one of them came to be." Your tests were written in that book, but so is your breakthrough, your purpose, your legacy. You're not weaving alone. God's hand is guiding every thread. Now let's anchor this in a truth from positive psychology, because your spiritual awakening is both divine and practical. Studies, like those by psychologist Carol Dweck, show that a growth mindset, believing you can develop through effort and learning, transforms how you face challenges. Your tests have cultivated this mindset, teaching you that setbacks are opportunities to grow, not proof of failure. When you wrote your goal, you embraced growth by defining a vision. When you reached out to someone, you grew in courage and connection. When you took that small step, you proved to yourself that progress is possible. These actions align with God's call to press on, turning your faith journey into a practical path of transformation. You're not just hoping for change, you're creating it, one obedient step at a time. Some of you are sensing the weight of this moment, the urgency of God's invitation to live fully in your purpose. If that's you, type "I am flowing with God's purpose" in the comments below. Your declaration is a beacon connecting you with thousands of chosen ones who are moving with the river of God's plan. By sharing, you're lighting a spark for someone who's hesitating, reminding them that their purpose is within reach. If this message is fueling your faith, consider liking this video to spread its hope further. Join thousands of chosen souls by subscribing to Stay Connected to Your Divine Purpose, ensuring you're part of this movement of transformation. Let's address a fear that's whispering in some of your hearts. The fear that your purpose will cost too much. Maybe you're afraid of losing comfort, relationships, or security. That fear is real, but it's also a lie that overstates the cost and underestimates the reward. Jesus said in Matthew 16:25, "For whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for me will find it." The cost of your purpose, time, effort, vulnerability, is nothing compared to the life you'll find on the other side. Think of the apostles who left nets, tax booths, and familiar lives to follow Jesus. Their tests of surrender led to a legacy that still shapes the world. Your purpose may require sacrifice, but it's a trade-up, exchanging temporary comfort for eternal impact. Imagine standing on a mountaintop, the wind carrying the echoes of every test you've passed. Below you stretches a valley of promise, filled with lives waiting to be touched by your obedience. That valley isn't a dream, it's your future, if you'll keep moving forward. Your tests have given you a unique lens, a way of seeing the world that others don't have. Maybe your experience with loss makes you a comforter to the grieving. Maybe your battle with doubt makes you a guide for the questioning. Maybe your journey through scarcity makes you a steward of God's abundance. Whatever your tests, they've equipped you to be a solution, a light, a vessel of God's love in a world that's crying out for hope. Now let's talk about the power of community, because you're not walking this path alone. Your tests have connected you to others who've faced their own giants, their own deserts, their own nights of weeping. When you share your story, whether through a comment, a conversation, or a testimony, you're weaving yourself into a tapestry of faith that spans the globe. Think of the early church in Acts 2:44-45, where believers were together and had everything in common. They sold property and possessions to give to anyone who had need. Their tests united them, turning individual struggles into collective strength. Your obedience to those 3 steps, writing, reaching out, acting, doesn't just change you, it strengthens the community of chosen ones, creating a ripple effect of hope and transformation. Some of you are wondering how to sustain this momentum, how to keep flowing with God's purpose when life gets hard again. The answer lies in anchoring yourself in God's promises, not your circumstances. When the Israelites faced the Red Sea, with Pharaoh's army closing in, they didn't survive by focusing on the danger. They survived by trusting God's command to move forward. Exodus 14:15 records God saying, "Why are you crying out to me? Tell the Israelites, your tests have taught you to move on, to trust God's voice over the noise of fear or doubt." Those 3 steps are your way of moving on, of saying, "I trust you, God, to lead me through the sea." Keep them visible, your written goal on your desk, your outreach in your heart, your small action as a daily habit, and they'll anchor you in God's faithfulness. Picture a lighthouse standing firm against crashing waves, its beam cutting through the darkest storm. That's you, chosen one, a beacon of hope forged by your tests. Your light doesn't just guide you, it guides others who are lost in their own storms. Every test you've passed has added strength to your foundation, clarity to your beam, and reach to your light. You're not just surviving, you're shining, showing the world that God's promises are true, that His plan is perfect, that His love is unstoppable. Isaiah 61 calls you to arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. Your tests have prepared you to arise, to shine, to step into a purpose that will outlive you. You've passed the hardest tests, not to bask in personal victory, but to become a living bridge for others to cross into hope. Picture a vast chasm, its depths shrouded in shadows of despair, with countless souls stranded on one side yearning for freedom. You, with the strength forged in your trials, are the bridge spanning that chasm. Your life a steady path for others to walk toward God's promises. Your tests weren't just about you. They were about equipping you to carry others, to shine as a lighthouse, not just for your own journey, but for a world desperate for direction. This is your moment to embrace the magnitude of your purpose, to see your tests as the foundation for a mission that transcends your lifetime. Let's consider the story of Nehemiah, a cupbearer in a foreign land, far from the broken walls of Jerusalem. His tests, exile, servitude, the weight of his people's suffering, could have left him resigned to a quiet life, but Nehemiah 2:4-5 shows his heart. When the king asked what he wanted, he prayed silently, then boldly requested permission to rebuild Jerusalem's walls. That moment of courage, born from years of testing, sparked a movement that restored a nation's hope. Your tests, too, have been building courage for a moment like this, a moment to act, to rebuild what's broken, to lead others to restoration. Maybe you've faced exile in your own way, estrangement from family, disconnection from dreams, or the ache of unfulfilled potential. Those trials have shaped you into a rebuilder, someone who can mend hearts, communities, and legacies with the wisdom only testing can provide. Now, let's unravel a lie that's kept many chosen ones from fully embracing their role: the belief that your influence is limited by your circumstances. You might think your lack of resources, status, or platform confines your impact, but God's economy doesn't work that way. Imagine a single seed, small and unassuming, buried in dark soil. It doesn't look like much, but when it breaks open, it births a tree that shades generations. Your life, with all its tests, is that seed. Your influence isn't measured by what you have now, but by what God is growing through you. The Bible affirms this in Zechariah 4:10. Who dares despise the day of small beginnings? For the Lord rejoices to see the work begin. Your small beginnings, those 3 steps of writing your goal, reaching out, and acting, are the roots of a mighty tree, destined to bear fruit for others. Your tests have ensured those roots run deep, unshaken by storms. Let's ground this in a story of someone like Aisha, a teacher from a small town in Georgia. Aisha faced tests of self-doubt and financial strain, working long hours while raising her daughter alone. She felt her dreams of inspiring young minds were slipping away, buried under the grind of daily survival. But Aisha held on to a vision God gave her: to create a reading program for struggling students. Despite her tests, she started small, using her lunch breaks to tutor kids, sharing stories that sparked their curiosity. One parent noticed and spread the word, leading to a grant that funded Aisha's program. Today, her initiative helps hundreds of children, turning her tests into a legacy of learning. Aisha's story, though unverified, reflects a truth you know: your tests don't limit your influence, they amplify it, making your small actions a catalyst for widespread change. Some of you are feeling a stirring, a sense that your purpose extends beyond your own healing to the healing of others. That's not imagination, it's God expanding your vision, showing you the chasm you're meant to bridge. Your tests have given you a unique voice, one that resonates with those who feel unseen or unheard. Maybe your struggle with anxiety equips you to guide others to peace. Maybe your journey through grief makes you a comforter for the mourning. Maybe your victory over addiction positions you to lead others to freedom. Those 3 steps, your written goal, your outreach, your small action, are not just for you. They're the first planks in the bridge you're building for others. They're proof that your tests have prepared you to lead, not just follow. Picture a great hall in heaven, its walls lined with portraits of the faithful, men and women who turn their tests into testimonies. Your portrait is there, still being painted, each brush stroke a moment of perseverance, obedience, and faith. The artist isn't finished, but the image is clear. You standing as a bridge, your arms outstretched to guide others across. This hall isn't for the perfect, it's for the persistent. Those who trusted God's plan through the darkest nights. Psalm 78:4 declares, "We will tell the next generation the praiseworthy deeds of the Lord, His power, and the wonders He has done." Your tests are part of those praiseworthy deeds, a story to be told, a bridge for the next generation to cross. You're not just living for today, you're building for tomorrow. Let's anchor this in positive psychology, because your faith journey is both divine and practical. Research by Martin Seligman, a pioneer in positive psychology, shows that meaning, finding purpose beyond oneself, drives resilience and fulfillment. Your tests have given you meaning not by erasing pain, but by revealing your role as a bridge for others. When you wrote your goal, you defined a purpose that extends beyond you. When you reached out, you built connections that ripple outward. When you took that small step, you activated a chain reaction of impact. These actions align with God's call to tell the next generation, turning your spiritual awakening into a practical mission of influence. You're not just surviving your tests, you're using them to create a legacy of hope. Some of you are sensing the urgency of this call, the weight of being a bridge for others. If that's you, type "I am building my bridge" in the comments below. Your declaration is a spark, igniting courage in a community of chosen ones who are stepping into their roles as rebuilders and restorers. By sharing, you're encouraging someone who's doubting their impact, reminding them that their tests have purpose. If this message is fueling your vision, consider liking this video to spread its hope further. Join thousands of chosen souls by subscribing to stay connected to your divine purpose, ensuring you're part of this movement of transformation. Now, let's address a tension you might feel: the balance between your personal breakthrough and your mission for others. You've passed the hardest tests, and you're eager for the abundance God promised. Financial freedom, restored relationships, inner peace. Those desires are valid, but they're not the end of your story. They're the fuel for your mission. Imagine a well, its waters deep and life-giving, overflowing to nourish a parched land. Your breakthrough is that well, designed to sustain you and pour out to others. The Bible promises in John 7:38, "Whoever believes in me, as Scripture has said, rivers of living water will flow from within them." Your tests have deepened your well, ensuring that when God's abundance flows, it won't just fill you, it will overflow, quenching the thirst of those around you. Let's talk about the power of your story, because your tests have crafted a narrative that's uniquely yours. Every scar, every victory, every moment you chose faith over despair is a chapter that can inspire others. Think of Paul, whose tests, shipwrecks, imprisonment, persecution, became the backdrop for letters that still guide the church today. In 2 Corinthians 1:4, he writes, "He comforts us in all our troubles, so that we can comfort those in any trouble with the comfort we ourselves receive from God." Your tests have given you comfort to share, wisdom to impart, hope to ignite. When you act on those 3 steps, you're not just moving toward your breakthrough, you're writing a story that will comfort others, showing them that God's faithfulness is real. Some of you are wondering how to share this story when you still feel broken, when the wounds of your tests are still tender. Here's the truth. Your brokenness is your qualification. The world doesn't need perfect heroes. It needs authentic witnesses, people who can say, "I've been through the fire and God brought me out." Your vulnerability is your strength. Your cracks, the places where God's light shines through. Picture a mosaic. Its beauty not in flawless tiles, but in the way broken pieces form a stunning whole. Your life is that mosaic. Each test, a piece that, when shared, creates a picture of redemption. You don't need to wait for perfection to share your story. You need only the courage to speak from where you stand. Let's talk about the ripple effect of your obedience. When you act on God's call, you're not just changing your life, you're altering the trajectory of others. Imagine a stone dropped into a still lake, its ripples spreading far beyond the point of impact. Your 3 steps, writing, reaching out, acting, are that stone, creating ripples that touch lives you may never meet. Maybe your goal inspires a friend to pursue their own. Maybe your outreach heals a family rift that frees a child from bitterness. Maybe your small action sparks a movement that transforms a community. Your tests have given you the weight to make those ripples, the depth to ensure they travel far. Proverbs 11:25 promises, "A generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed." Your obedience refreshes others, and in turn, God refreshes. Some of you are feeling the fire of this truth, the realization that your tests have prepared you to be a bridge, a well, a mosaic, a stone. If that's you, type, "I am sharing my story" in the comments below. Your declaration is a commitment, joining you with a community of chosen ones who are turning their tests into testimonies. By sharing, you're lighting a path for someone who's lost in their own trials, showing them that hope is real. If this message is igniting your purpose, consider liking this video to help it reach others. Join thousands of chosen souls by subscribing to stay connected to your divine purpose, ensuring you're part of this movement of hope and impact. Now, let's address the pace of your journey, because some of you feel rushed, as if you must sprint to catch up with God's plan. But God's timing is not a race. It's a rhythm, a steady beat that aligns your steps with His purpose. Your tests have taught you to walk in that rhythm, to trust that every delay was preparation, every setback a setup for something greater. Ecclesiastes 3:11 says, "He has made everything beautiful in its time. He has also set eternity in the human heart." Your heart beats with eternity, chosen one, but your steps move in God's time. Those 3 steps you've taken are part of that rhythm, grounding your eternal purpose in daily obedience. You don't need to rush. You need only to keep moving, trusting that God's beauty will unfold in every season.